Ramzilla here. Today we're going to be talking about a movie called Digging Up the Marrow.
There are the deviants, the ones who are pure evil.
We've been shooting this documentary.
Love to roll. Take one.
100 yards beneath the surface of the earth exists a metropolis that mirrors ours in very many respects. I call it the Marrow.
This movie was written and directed by Adam Green. He's known for the Hatchet series 1, 2, and 3, a cool movie called Frozen, and he's got some type of series that I forgot the name of. They mentioned in the movie quite a bit, but I was busy thinking about other things about the movie. Anyways, so in this review, we're gonna be going over the good things and the bad things about this movie. So to give you a quick synopsis about the movie. This movie is about Adam Green, the director. It's kind of like a documentary, found footage type of thing, where he starts off saying that he gets like fan mail, like drawings, letters, fan fiction, etc. But he gets this really interesting packet by this guy named William Decker, who claims that monsters are real and that he has proof that monsters do exist, and he invites Adam Green to investigate this with him. So Adam Green is like, oh yeah, cool, monsters, let's go, woo! And that's basically what the movie's about. Now, like I said, I'm going to be going over the good things and the bad things about this movie. So let's go over the good things first. One, the creature effects are really cool. Like, you only get to see 4 or 5 of them, but they're really well done. And you don't get to see them, but what you do see, they're really cool. The story itself was pretty, it had a good thing, how can I say it? It had a good thing going for it, but the way it was executed was that great. But we'll get into that in a moment. And the bad things. Another thing I liked about this movie was the acting about the old guy. I mean, Adam Green is Adam Green. But the old guy, Decker, he did a pretty cool job of, portraying his character, whom you might think he's crazy in the beginning, but as things get more complex, you realize that he's not crazy. Now, the bad things about this movie, one of them is that it leaves you with a lot of questions. I mean, a lot. Maybe not that much, I exaggerated, but it does leave you with a lot of questions. For example, throughout the movie, Decker, he's an old man, he lives alone. When they go and interview him, no wife, no signs of any kids or anything like that. And then there's this one part where he's talking about this creature named what was that creature's name? I forgot that creature's name. But he's talking about this creature, and all these sketches are done by some other artist. Oh, before I forget the sketches. There are these sketches about the monsters that come up where they're done by this really cool horror artist, and they mention his name throughout the movie. But like I said, there's so many things going on in that movie that I wasn't paying attention to that guy's name. But if you Google him, or if you Google this movie, I'm sure you'll get the results. So if you want to see his work, go ahead. It's really cool. Or if you see the movie, you'll get a glimpse of it. Now, back to the movie. He's talking about this creature, about how this artist did this and this and this, and then Adam Green's like, oh, so who did that one? And he's like, oh, my son. And Green's trying to ask him about his son, but he keeps avoiding the question. And then there's this other part where he has like this door with a big chain on it, and he says it's storage, but you kind of get the idea that something else is in there. And they don't go into detail about that. They don't go into the detail about Decker's son. They only give you ideas of what really happened to his son, or where is his son. Now, throughout the movie, they go to this graveyard where there's this entrance to the Marrow, which is a city filled with these monsters. Now, Decker believes that these monsters are people that are born with deformities, like extra feet, extra arms, maybe a bigger head, stuff like that. And they don't know where to go, so they go into the Marrow. And apparently, this is a city underground where there's marriages and death and friendships and enemies and stuff like that. Now, that's as far as they get into the Marrow. You never see the Marrow, and like I said, you only get a glimpse at about 5 monsters. So, throughout the movie, they go to this graveyard and they're camping out, waiting for these monsters to come out. Now, Decker doesn't want to shine the light because if the monsters realize that they're being, if they feel threatened and they realize that people know of their existence, they move, and Decker doesn't want the monsters to move. Now, as the movie develops, Decker lies. You realize Decker's lied about a lot of things, so you don't know whether to believe him or not for like the first hour of the movie, I think. And the last 30 minutes or so, you basically you know the monsters are real, but there are other things that are like what. Now, for example, there's this part where they're camping out and they get attacked by all these monsters because what's his name, Green, and his camera guy decide to go out to the Marrow without Decker and see if they can grab anything. So they start being attacked by these monsters, and then Decker shows up. He's like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" And then they get attacked and they leave. And then they get into a really big discussion at Decker's house where Adam Green tells him, he's been lying about this and this and this and that. And then Decker just keeps saying, "No, you fools, I won't be able to see him again," and this and that. Oh, yeah, before I forget, before that, um, Decker, he feeds. They set up these cameras around the woods to surveillance the Marrow. Decker goes and he turns off 4 of them. One of them, there's 5. One of them goes missing, and Decker turns off 3 of them, and then one is left. And then what happens is that you see Decker shining in the hole and then taking a spoon out and feeding, but you don't know what he's feeding. Like, they never show that. And then back to the discussion, the argument that they're having. Decker keeps saying, "I won't see him again. You ruined this for me," and this and that. So that's the what I was referring to. Him. Who is he referring to? Who is he never gonna see again? Who is he gonna lose? Because he mentions that when he's asked about his son, he ignores the question. And then they try to give you the idea that his son was taken by the creatures in the Marrow, or that his son is one of the creatures from the Marrow. So that's what I mean. They don't go into many details, and that's one of the things that really bugged me because, why would they bring up his son if they don't plan on going into detail about it? Now, if they're going to make a second one, are they going to go back into the details of that, or is it just gone? Because I will be going into some spoilers at the end, but I'll get into those later. As far as this one goes, that's what bugged me. Like, the son thing. What happened to his son, and why didn't they go into any details about it? Another thing that bugged me. After the discussion, he tells Green that they can meet up at sunrise at his house, and they'll go into the Marrow or whatever. Now, here's the thing. The Marrow. Once the creatures feel threatened by their existence, they can easily cover up that entrance and move somewhere else. And that entrance, it'll be as if nothing was there. So, Adam Green and his camera guy, they come back at sunrise and are knocking on his door. Knock, knock, knocking on Decker's door. Anyways, they're knocking on his door and nobody's answering. So he asks, this neighbor's leaving, and he goes and asks her. And then she's like, "Well, that house has been empty for a year." They're like, "What the fuck? This guy was just here." And so then he turns the knob on the door and it just happens to be open. And there's nothing in the house. Like, all the drawings, he had a map of the Marrow, which country it was, and everything's gone. So then here's the interesting part. Remember how I mentioned there was a door with a chain on it? That they made an interview of him, and there was a door with a chain on it, and he said there was nothing but storage? That's unlocked. So they open it and they go down. And there were these chains. Obviously, something was chained up. There was this newspaper where piss and shit, with piss and shit, and that's what really confused me as well. What was he hiding down there? Did he kidnap one of the creatures from the Marrow and keep it locked down there? And we're back to the sun. Was his son one of the creatures from the Marrow and kept him locked down there? What was down there? Because there was also spoons. Who knows what he was feeding, but still. That's another thing that bugged me. Like, what was there? Oh, man. Um, Another thing. I'm pretty sure that his movie was inspired by Clive Barker's Nightbreed. It kind of has the same premise where in Nightbreed, the monsters, they're hidden in a cemetery, and if they find out that they're known, they move. And this movie has the same premise that creatures are hidden in the cemetery, and if they find out they're known, they move underground as well. Anyways, um, nothing happens for a month, and then this is the end of the movie where I'm gonna spoil some things. So if you don't want to know what happens at the end of the movie, you can stop watching now and then just find out what I rate this movie, or you just want to find out what happens, then feel free. They're not really major spoilers, but hey, fuck it. So, about a month goes by, and then Adam, he says, this is my last log into the Marrow. This camera that went missing was delivered to me. So, they show the footage from the camera. And it's kind of hard to see it's not hard to tell. You don't know, you don't get a glimpse of the Marrow. I was hoping to get a glimpse of the Marrow of the city. I was hoping it was a city, but they don't show you that. What they show you instead is like an underground tunnel system, and you hear this like that, and you're walking, and they're just walking and walking, and then you see Decker. He's in a cage, and then he starts saying monsters aren't real. Don't take his word for it. He was lying. This and that. But at the same time, you hear like this monster go shake the cage, and you're like, what? So that's another thing that bugged me. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Well, in the movie, I'm talking the world and the realm of the movie. If Adam Green plans on releasing this documentary or whatever, how can he say or how can that monster be like? Because this was filmed by monsters, I'm pretty sure the monsters got together. I'm getting too far into it, but so Decker's screaming, "Monsters aren't real," but there's this monster shaking the cage. That doesn't make sense to me. Anyways, it cuts off, and then it shows Green's house and a monster walking inside Green's house, and then it walks into the room where Adam Green is sleeping, puts a camera on his counter next to the bed, and then he roars, and Adam Green wakes up, and it ends. So after the movie ended, I didn't know what to think because, I mean, I liked it. I liked the creatures that they showed, but it has so many loose ends that, you know, you don't know what to make of it. Like, one of them is the sun, another one is the Marrow. What happened to Decker? Obviously, he's not dead. I don't think the creatures killed him because they have him in a cage. That's another thing. What happened to Decker? Um, what does Green plan on doing with his documentary, with all this footage that he has? So many questions. So, I would suggest you watch this movie. It's on iTunes and in select theaters, I believe. On iTunes, it's for sure. I do think it's in select theaters, and I think it's on video on demand as well. So if you get the chance, watch this movie because it's really good. But so many loose ends. If you've already seen it, please let me know what you think about it. Let me know in the comments below. And just because those loose ends, if they had at least gone into a little bit more detail about the sun, I would have given this movie a perfect 10 out of 10. Even without more creature time, if I had to head up a lot of the loose ends, but it didn't. So, because of the loose ends, I'm giving this movie a 7 out of 10. I still highly recommend it. It's a pretty cool movie, and you know I hope there's more to this because if there can be more Hatchet, there can be more this. You know, I just hope that in the next one they get into details about what happened to Decker, what happened to his son, what was he feeding down there in the basement, and I do hope that they show the Marrow, or they give us a glimpse of the Marrow. That would be really cool to get a glimpse of the Marrow. And more creatures. More creatures would be badass. So this is it. If you've already seen it, like I said, leave a comment and letting me know what you think about it. Or if you haven't seen it, go ahead and come back to this video after you've seen it and let me know. Be sure to give a like. Subscribe to my channel where I'm going to be doing more reviews. And this is Ramzilla signing off.
Oh, God, he's right here in front of us now.
I don't see it. Turn it on. Turn on the light.
No.
Turn on the light. If it's here, I want to see it.
Turn off that light.
Turn on the light.
You're too blind to see what's going on around you. Well, you're going to see. You're going to see.
Are you kidding me? You should just go.
I warned you. I warned you. Some of them were dangerous.
Mr. Decker, just tell me the truth about one single thing.
They know we found him.